founding CFS Solutions of West Michigan, can you say about how many people participate? Or?
Well, we're pretty new to the area. I lived up in Traverse City for 20 years, and I just recently moved to the Grand Rapids area. We have about 10 to 12 people that are active, but we've only had 2 or 3 meetings. So we're just trying to get the word out there to say that there is hope. 66% of the doctors surveyed in the United States said that they were that they didn't feel comfortable diagnosing or treating chronic fatigue syndrome. So we're here for the people to help, for a place for them to go so they can get the help and the guidance that they need. Will
Solutions be primarily a support group then?
It's an advocacy group and an educational group. We don't sit around the table and discuss basically what all of our symptoms are and how we're feeling, and because sometimes you go away from that feeling worse than when you went to the group. So we try to give them solutions. There's an educational component to each meeting. We do get active with advocacy. We have written letters to our local, state, and federal government asking for more research funding and to please take the advice of the Federal Chronic Fatigue Syndrome Advisory Committee's recommendations for this. So we've written to the CDC, and we just want to be active and give solutions.
Yes. There's certainly there's a physical component to this disease. Is there also a psychological component?
There can be. Frequently with chronic illnesses, anxiety and depression could be comorbid or occur at the same time. I want to be really firm on this because at first people thought I was just depressed, but with depression, proper treatment will lead to the lessening of symptoms, whereas with chronic fatigue syndrome, frequently as our symptoms flare, so do our emotional issues. So there is definitely a component, but chronic fatigue syndrome isn't caused by depression. It isn't depression. It's a physical disease. The mental health professionals use a diagnostic manual called the DMS-4. It's not in there.
No.
Because chronic fatigue syndrome is not a mental illness or defect. It's a physical disease.
Somebody who has cancer is depressed, but the depression did not cause cancer, and the depression does not cause chronic fatigue syndrome.
Right.
But it's because of our losses, the loss of our health, the loss of our jobs, the loss of our lives, that can cause depression.
What about your family structure? I mean, not only do you need support, but this impacts everybody around you.
I'm divorced and raised my children by myself, and it has been so difficult. I have 4 adult sons. It has been so difficult for my sons to not only deal with what's wrong with my mom and why can't my mom work anymore, but to answer to their friends. It's been a strain on my children and myself that I would never have imagined possible.
I can imagine.
My parents don't believe me. My siblings have a hard time with it. It's a very lonely disease, which is why CFS Solutions is such, again, a blessing to me personally, because not only does it provide an outlet, but most of us were fairly active people.
Yes.
And so it gives a voice to that activism. It gives a passion. It gives a place for us to direct our passion because we're still us.
Yes.
We don't look sick, which is the common thing. We don't look sick, but we still need an outlet. We still need a place to be contributing, functioning humans. And CFS Solutions provides that voice for us.
Lori, thank you so much for recognizing this need and doing that, because it's so much for the common good.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that. What kind of topics? Well, I think we talked a little bit about this, but can you talk about what maybe where you meet and?
Okay, we meet at St. Mary's Wegge Center, and we meet the second Tuesday of each month and it's from 1 to 2:30 in the afternoon, and we meet in conference room 14. And some of the topics are, like I said, we just do some advocacy and maybe letter writing and educating also healthcare providers, which is greatly needed. But this summer, we're going to be working on a care plan for ourselves, the one that I needed written for me, that never was written. I wrote it myself. And we're going to help people with chronic fatigue syndrome, and they probably will need help with their caregivers to help them write this, but a care plan of strategies, management, where anybody can pick that up, and if they're having a flare of their symptoms and what we call crashing, anyone could take that book and know what works for them. So that's one of the things we're going to be working on this summer.
Ambitious and wonderful.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit about how you're going to impact the medical community.
Well, because the doctor, there's 66% of them who say they're not comfortable with that, with the diagnosis and with treating, because we are difficult patients, I'll admit that. We're difficult to treat.
Right. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we should go untreated.
No. Right.
And so we will do some workshops. We do have pamphlets from this Chronic Fatigue Syndrome Association of America. And we can provide them the educational materials that they need that also come from the CDC.
Okay. We're going to have to close now, but
thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth and Lori, for being here today and getting this message out. And I think we need to do a longer program, but I'll have to think about that.
Okay, thank you very
thanks so much.
Thank you for watching NPO Showcase, a regular feature of GRTV. If your nonprofit wishes to be showcased, contact me, Barbara, 459-4788, extension 115. And in closing, I wish you a peace-filled week.